Hello, everyone. Welcome to Higher and Beyond. This is the place for personal development, personal growth, and self improvement. I'm here not alone. I have our special guest today, and we are going to talk about confidence. As you know, confidence is very, very important in life. And all of us know that confidence also can help us in achieving goals and dreams. So, for all of you who doesn't know who is our guest speaker today, he is an expert, teacher, mentor, a life and transformational coach who has dedicated his career to empowering individuals to break through their self-imposed limitation and unlock their potential. I'm so impressed with actually what he's doing right now and all of his contents on the social media. I really can't wait to have this discussion with him. Let's learn together and welcome Brian. Hi, Brian. Talking about confidence, what is confidence for you?
Well, I would define confidence as the outcome of your thoughts and your actions that you take. So it's not based on your actual ability to do something. It's based on your belief that you can do something. It's your belief that you can stand in front of a group and give a presentation. It's your belief that you can learn. It's your belief that you can talk to a member of the opposite sex. So I'm going to dispel a wee bit of a myth that's out there that confidence isn't something you have. Confidence is something you get. So it's something you must flex like a muscle. You must put yourself in situations that increase your confidence. And it's something that changes a lot over time. It's not something that's fixed. We sometimes talk about confident people, that you know someone who's a very confident person. And the reason you think that is because you saw them do something and they executed it very well, and you've now decided that's a confident person. But they might only be confident in one task or one area. So it's a situational thing. It can be, you can be very confident talking in front of a group, but you could be absolutely hopeless talking to the opposite sex. And it's something that, as I said, it ebbs and flows in life. So there can be periods of your life where your confidence is riding really high. Then there's other periods of your life where confidence just doesn't seem to be there. So it's something we have for a while and maybe lose. So it's not a constant, which a lot of people think it is. And I think that's probably the most important thing. And another thing it's closely linked to, but it's not the same as, is self-esteem. People think they're the same thing. Now, they are closely related and they do influence each other, but self-esteem is how much you value, appreciate, love, and respect yourself. But self-confidence is simply your belief in your ability to achieve a goal. Okay. But you can see how having high self-confidence can lead to high self-esteem. The two will be very, very closely related. Okay. So the knock-on effect of that is that if you are internally critical, then you won't be externally successful. So the inner monologue is very, very important in terms of making sure that you are constantly saying the right things to yourself. And this will fuel your self-confidence, build you up, and give you further confidence in the situations you need. Now, I think the hardest part about becoming confident is admitting that you want to be. Okay, because people kind of have this idea that they should shrink, that they shouldn't be this big boisterous person. Okay, and I would be an advocate that you shouldn't be arrogant or boastful or any of those things. Okay, but at the same time, you can't belittle yourself either. You know, we have this awkward social dance that we go through in life where we pretend that we're confident, but we just hope that nobody ever calls us out on it. You know, so you go into a situation, you pretend I'm this confident guy. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm saying. And then somebody puts you in a situation that you're not familiar with, or puts you in front of a person that you're intimidated by. And then the whole facade crumbles. and then your lack of confidence comes to the front, okay?
Mm.
But you can't admit that you're not confident either. Because imagine going up and imagine you're a guy and you go up to a pretty girl in a bar and you say, well, I'm not very confident talking to attractive women. You're not exactly selling yourself, are you?
Yeah.
You know?
Mm.
So, but at the same time, you can't go in there shouting and bragging and pretending to be the big guy, because I'm a big believer in something that an ex-British Prime Minister called Margaret Thatcher said back in the 80s. She said that if you have to, but she said that being powerful is like being a lady. If you have to tell someone you are, then you aren't.
Mm.
So the fact that you have to tell people you're confident means you aren't confident. Okay. So
Yeah.
it's something that you can't oversell, and it's something that you don't want to undersell either. And this is what makes confidence hard. This is why it's something that people wrestle with so much and that they have so many strong feelings about. So I suppose to me those are all the major facets of confidence. But I think an awful lot of the help and advice that's out there is about fake it till you make it. And to some extent, I agree with it, but there's other places that really strong confidence can come from.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I mean, I kind of agree. You know, confidence is built time to time, and it's not that easy and hard. Um, about the confidence and self-esteem, it's actually not the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So why is it's because if it is hard, why is it stepping outside of this comfort zone is so important for us to be confident, you know? Why is it?
Okay, because what you've done up until now has got you the results that you have. And this is exactly the same for confidence. You have the level of confidence you have right now is based on the amount that you have put yourself outside your comfort zone. How often are you facing new challenges and putting yourself forward for new things and different things and things that you've never done before? Okay. Because your confidence only grows in relation to adversity of some kind. Okay. It's an animal that needs to be fed constantly. Right? If you want to grow in confidence, you must step outside your comfort zone and try things that you don't know how to do. Because once you go through the process and you learn from it, your confidence grows. Okay. And this takes two things. It takes bravery, which is the first step. If you want to be confident, you must take a step of bravery. And the
Okay.
second one is faith. And that's
Number
faith
two
in your
is
ability to get through whatever you're doing. Okay. So the process is bravery leads to action, which leads to confidence, which leads to more action, which leads to significant change in your life.
mm,
If you follow that step-by-step process like that, then you will definitely build more self-confidence. But that's why getting out of your comfort zone, it's just you just have to be careful how much you do it.
oh wow. So we have two things. One is bravery and two is faith.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bravery is the first step.
right. And then faith.
That's literally putting your neck on the line.
Right. So
It's,
first
it's being
and
it's
first
being
thing.
invited. It's being invited to do. It's being asked to do a presentation and saying yes,
Yeah. Mm. So and then
and confidently saying yes, I will do that, and then go and have a meltdown for half an hour about it, and then pull yourself together and start building the task and start sorting it out in your head and getting it down on paper and getting it organized. And then by the time it comes to it, you have it so well prepped you could nearly deliver it in your sleep. But it takes that first step of bravery. It takes that, yes, I'll do that. And that's the
mm,
hardest step.
yes. Is that means that mostly we don't have that a big confidence to say yes. That's why, oh, later, I don't think I'm good enough for this. I don't think I am this and that. So the first step is has to be bravery. just do it and start doing it. And then it
Yeah.
come to the faith.
Yeah. And then let go of all the judgments and the fear of failure, because that's what's actually holding you back. It's
Yeah.
fear of being judged. It's fear of being of actually failing in your task. But you have to understand that judgment and failure are part of the process.
Mm.
They just are. You just have to get on with that. You have to realize that those will happen. People will judge you. That's 100% going to happen. The failure somewhere down the line is likely to happen, but
Mm.
just accept that it will. And when it does, learn from it. And that's what will give you the faith to keep continuing.
Oh my gosh. This is really the key to start being confident. Just say yes to start
Yeah.
and then step away from your comfort zone.
Yeah. Which nobody wants to do. Nobody wants
Yeah.
to do. So what's the incentive? Why should you bother being confident? Like, I mean, why does anybody want to be confident? Why is this even a subject? Why is it a thing?
Mm.
It's because people love confident people. Confident is attractive.
Mm.
Confident is reliable. Confident is trustworthy.
Mm.
It's one of the most basic human traits that people respond to. Like, if you're a guy, you know that women respond to a guy who can talk confidently to them.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is more attractive than a guy who isn't confident.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's the same goes, because if you're a confident person, the opposite sex notices, your boss notices, your friends notice, society notices. It's one of those things that you just, when you are centered and you know who you are, you give off this aura, you give off this vibe, just this sense. And that's why I'm saying you can't go around broadcasting it, because that doesn't work. Everybody sees through that. Everybody sees through the bravado.
Mm.
But there's a difference between somebody shouting about being confident and then somebody who truly is. You know that difference. You've experienced those two types of people at some point in your life.
Yeah.
So to know who you are is the best form of confidence that there is.
Mm. Knowing who you are to get the best confidence of you. Okay. Well, this is something that it kind of pushing ourselves to go beyond um, the comfort zone that we have, and then it actually lead to building the self-confidence itself. So how
Yeah.
how do you push that?
Well, like I said earlier, you
Yeah.
need to give you an example, okay, about how you might grow confidence. And remember, it's something that's done gradually. It's like
Mm.
building a muscle. You don't go in and spend 8 hours in the gym and walk out ripped. That doesn't happen. It's the same with confidence. You don't do one thing and then that's you. You're confident. Job done. You don't need to worry about it anymore. It's something that has to be worked on all the time. So let's say you wanted to, for example, you wanted to do a TED talk. You,
Mhm.
you you admire TED speakers. You think they're very confident. They're very articulate. They have great influence. Everybody respects them. You want to be that person. So how are you going to build your confidence to becoming a TED speaker when you don't speak to anybody on a day-to-day basis and you never do presentations? So
Mm.
here's how you're going to begin. You're going to start putting your hand up at meetings at work and you're going to start giving your opinion. And then your employers will recognize that you have an opinion. Then you'll be asked for it more. And then that opinion will lead to you being asked to do a presentation somewhere. We need you to speak to a group. We need you to tell them about this because you seem to know about this. And then you'll start giving presentations. And then that you'll give that presentation a certain number of times till you think, right, I know what I'm doing with this. And then you'll think, how could I develop that presentation now for another audience? What elements within that presentation could I maybe tell to other people outside my organization? And then you set up an Instagram channel or a YouTube or a TikTok, and you start telling people these things that people in your workplace found valuable. And then you start to build a community. You start to build an audience. And then you start to get noticed by the wider community, the wider speaking community, the wider society. And then when you do finally think, you know what, I've done enough presentations now, I'm going to send an application in to do a TED Talk. They're going to go and look at your channel. They're going to look at your podcasts, your presentations, your everything that you're about. And they're going to make a decision. Yeah, this is a person that we want. And that is how you become a TED speaker. That's how you build the confidence towards that goal. And it's a very gradual process that will take quite a long period of time, probably, depending on your level of expertise and where you're beginning from. But that is how you would go about doing it. So those would be the changes that you would need to make if you wanted to achieve that particular goal. So hopefully that describes it pretty well. Maybe you can think of an example that would resonate with that,
Well, that's a great example, it's not that confidence is something that we are born. It's confidence, it's a skill. It's a skill that we need to build time to time and again, not just stuck into that I'm confidence person and then here I am. It's not like that. So he's make me think that what do we need as a people, as a person, to actually change what we need to do to change to in order to make ourselves being confident.
Okay. Do stuff that stretches you.
Oh
And
my gosh.
everybody knows what that is.
Uh-huh.
Everybody knows the area in their life that they want to achieve in. There's the area you need to stretch yourself in. So if you want to improve your career, one of the best ways to improve your career, move up through a hierarchy, is to be seen. And in order to be seen, you have to open your mouth. You have to speak. If you want to have more success with the opposite sex, then you're going to have to, first of all, be seen by them. So sitting in the house, swiping left on Tinder isn't really going to cut it. What you need to be doing is you need to be out, you need to be seen, and you need to be talking to people. And this is where that confidence will come from. You engage strangers in conversation, and you start with short conversations, okay? And you see what sort of reception you get. And if it's receptive, you move forward. But it's getting over that fear of being rejected or the fear of saying the wrong thing and screwing it up. Remember, that's part of the process. That's meant to happen. That's not a glitch in the system. That's a feature. It's built in. It's meant to be there. You're meant to get this wrong. You cannot grow without failure. You cannot grow without doing something wrong and learning from it. This is how we get better at anything. So stretch yourself, but don't stretch yourself so much that you'll snap. Don't go all in to the point where you are overwhelmed and then you're like, oh God, I'm sinking here. I can't handle this. Start with small baby steps and build slowly from there. That would be my advice.
Oh my gosh. It's a very simple change that we need to take in order to be confident, which is stretch yourself. And this is something that kind of simple word, but in action, do you think this is easy?
No.
Oh.
If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. So it's the minute you go to do something that scares you, your brain kicks in to protect you. The voice in your head starts telling you, you're not ready for this. They don't want to talk to you. That girl does not like you. That boy does not like you. Who are you to go talking to him or her? You know the voice. And it's the minute you go to do something and then it makes you sit down again. And it tells you to park. Stay in your lane, Brian. We're happy here. We like this here. This is comfortable. This is why it's called the comfort zone, because you like it there.
Yeah.
And getting out of your comfort zone means doing something that might backfire, but being ready for that, just accepting that that's going to happen. I know another coach who talks about just embracing the no. When it comes to, like, for example, sales, which is another area that people are very scared of, it's
Yeah.
embracing the fact that out of 100 calls in a day, 50% of them will probably be no. And it's being okay with that. That when you put the phone down at the end of the day and you say, okay, made my 100 calls, I had 50% of them said no, 50, maybe another 25% were maybes, and another 25% were yes, let's do it.
Mm.
Then you actually collect the no's. The more no's you have, the more you're trying. That's
Wow.
more evidence that you are putting yourself out there into that difficult place. So the more women that turn you down,
Mm.
the more you're trying.
Yeah.
It's not nice. It's nobody's trying to sell you this is a nice experience. It's not, but it's essential.
Mm.
It is essential if you want to get better at it and you want to grow. And if your career's dependent on it, if your happiness is dependent on it, if you're sitting at home cripplingly lonely, then this is worth doing. If you don't have enough money to pay your bills and you need a better job, you need a promotion, then this isn't a nice thing anymore. This is a must. This has to be done.
Mhm.
Or even having the confidence to leave a situation that's negative. You need confidence to walk away from a relationship that's not working. Instead of sitting going, well, I know this person, you better the devil you know, he's not perfect, but I'm going to stay. No, that it takes confidence to say, I can live on my own. I can start again. I can
Mm.
be independent.
Mm.
Now, those are all situations that require that moment of bravery where continuing the way you're going is going to be destructive to you and your life.
Right.
So those moments of bravery, they're not nice things. They're essential.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, it's a very deep things to do actually, because it's actually confidence in impact everything, many areas in life, relationship, your career, um, how you communicate with others. Um, and I love the thing that you've said about no, it's essential. It's not nice, but this is essential because it's make you feel better. But most of the time, people are actually fear of that kind of rejection,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And they fear it because they go in with an expectation that what they're going to do is going to work.
Hmm.
Okay. You shoot your shot. You make your presentation or you go over and talk to the good looking guy, and you get a very lackluster response. It's being okay with that. And it's going back and saying to yourself, well, I tried.
Mm.
I didn't sit and look. I didn't sit back. I got off my backside and I tried. That's where the win is. And it's flexing that muscle that says, I am going to try because I really, really want this. I can give you a real good example of how I did this in my life once.
Sure.
And
I want to hear
uh,
about it.
about, I'd say it's about 20 years ago now, I
Mhm.
decided I wanted to be on the radio. I wanted to work. I wanted to be a presenter on the radio. And I did not have a single day of broadcast experience. I'd never been in a radio station. I had never done what I'm doing now. I'd never done a podcast. At that point, I hadn't even done presentations. Wasn't a teacher. I'm a lecturer now, but I wasn't even teaching at that stage. But I decided I want to present a radio show. So I walked in the door of our local radio station in the town I was living in, and I walked up to reception and I said,
Mhm.
hi, I'd like to be a presenter. And I remember this girl looking at me like I had two heads. And immediately I knew this is not how presenters do this. So she said,
OMG. Yeah.
give me a minute. And she went and brought out the manager and he said, yeah, how can I help you? And I said, I'd like to be a presenter. And he said, right, are you a DJ? No. Are you a presenter at the minute? No. Do you MC events? No. Like, and
Mm.
I'm begging him at this point to ask me a question that I can say yes to. And then he asked me the worst question of all. He said, what do you do? And I said, I work for a golf club. And then he looked at the receptionist and he looked at me and he goes, we normally need a demo tape if we're going to do something like this. Have you got one? And I said, no, I don't really. But I said, I can get you one. He said, right, well, get me one. That's fair enough. And I walked out of the station with my tail firmly tucked between my legs. It went terribly. It was awful. But I went home and I'd done a CD, which I recorded some music and I spoke over it and I sent it off to him. Didn't hear anything for 2 weeks and then rang him up and I said, did you get the CD? He said, yeah, I did. I said, what did you think? And he said, it was blank. There was nothing on it. So I
Oh.
had recorded this guy a blank CD.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh.
And
Yeah.
at this point, I'm backing out, uni. You know, I'm saying, look, I'm sorry for wasting your time. Thanks for listening to me, blah, blah, blah. And then he said, well, look, hang on. He said, why don't you come into the station and we'll record it here? And I said, okay. So a couple of days later, I go in, takes me into production studio, and he gives me a script for an advert that they're running. And he says, get behind that microphone and read that. So I read it, plays it back, and then he goes, listen to this. And he plays an ad that they're running. And he says, read that the same way you just heard that. So I do that. Plays it a couple of times, leans back in his chair and goes, yeah, you've got a really good voice. Tell you what, come in on Tuesday night and sit in with Kieran on the Ocean Energy show, and we'll take it from there. And 2 weeks later, I was hosting a radio program twice a week.
Wow. Oh my gosh, this is such an inspiring story.
It all came from
Yeah.
facing the fear,
Yep.
not being scared of the outcome. Even if I hadn't got on, I would have been proud of myself for trying.
Mm-hmm.
But it just want to show you that the one thing that actually mattered to him, I hadn't even considered, and that was the quality of my voice. I didn't even think about that. I thought it was all about your ability to talk and make things up and be entertaining and all this stuff. It wasn't. It came down to the quality of my voice. And I didn't even consider that.
Right. It's something that we didn't expect anything and actually happened to you.
Absolutely. But you've got to take the risk.
This
Now, I've
is
told
something.
that's
Yeah.
key.
Yeah.
That's key. What I don't tell people, I've told lots of people that story in my life. What I
Mm-hmm.
don't normally tell them, and I'm going to tell you and for your audience,
Share to us.
is the 40 minutes I sat in the car park in the car talking myself out of it.
You did that?
40 minutes I sat in the car telling myself not to go in. Don't do this. Nobody wants to hear you on the radio. Who are you to be on the radio? Stay in your lane. You are not a radio presenter.
Mm.
So I had that battle. I know what that battle is. I have faced it many, many times. And every time you face it, you get stronger. And with every win, with every little tiny bit of success, that was a massive bit of success. But every little bit of success, slowly but surely, quietens that voice down till it's gone,
Mm.
almost completely gone. Now, this is not the same. This is not the same as having no nerves about not being nervous. You will never get to that point. You'll always be nervous about doing things that you don't know, but you now have got faith in your ability to get through these situations because you've got through so many before. You
Mm.
now have evidence that you are who you say you are. And that is where true, untouchable confidence comes from. It doesn't come from tips and techniques and hacks, although they're useful. The
Mm.
real confidence comes from experience. That's where your authority comes from. I've done this, therefore I know what I'm doing. And the more you do it, the more confident you get. And that confidence is just obvious. You don't have to tell people you're confident. It's just there. They can just tell. and that's where you want to be. And that is the jackpot at the end of every scary experience that you'll ever do. And being confident feels good, Uni. You actually feel it. It's not just something that other people notice. You actually feel good about yourself afterwards. You see, after I left that radio station, he said, right, you come back in next week. I floated home. I was floating 6 inches off the ground. I was elated. I'd never been so happy in my life that this had worked out. You can't, there's so few experiences like that in life. You've got to create them. They're not going to happen to you. You've got to make them happen. And to make them happen, you've got to step into the fear.
Wow. So again, the bravery also have something on the other side. Like, for example, the fear that you had, 40 minutes, the negative self-talk there, it was there. But at the end, you finally did it.
Yeah. And imagine I'd driven home.
Yeah. How can you share to us, what do you feel about that? You overcome that negative talk inside of your head for that long before you actually did that.
Yeah. It came to a head. I said to myself, right, are you going to go in or are you going to go home? And it was just like, I'm going in. No matter what happens. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, they look at me like some guy who just came in and chanced his arm. What harm is that to me? I'm still alive. Everything's okay. My world hasn't changed. I maybe would have had a bit of embarrassment. And what, can I not handle some embarrassment? Is that who I am? Am I going to give up on a dream because of a little bit of embarrassment? That's not a good enough reason for me, That's what eventually got me out of the car. I sat there and I logically said, what is the worst that's going to happen? Okay, they're going to laugh at you. They're going to be talking about you. Can I live with that? Yeah, I think I can. I think I'll be fine. I'll never see these people again. So what?
Well, this is actually one of powerful question to ask to yourself. What is the worst thing to happen if you don't, or if you do this?
Well, that's circumstantial. For me, the worst thing that would have happened is that I would have been told, "No, we're not interested, but thanks for coming in." That is the worst thing that could have happened. In a presentation, you could maybe forget what to say, but you're the only one who knew what you were going to say. So they don't know. There could have been things that I wanted to say here today, and I maybe forgot them, but your audience doesn't know that. I'm the only one who knows that. So these are the kind of worries that people have. Or you go up to a girl to speak to her and she says, "No, I'm sorry, I'm not interested." Then you just politely say, "Well, listen, thank you very much for the conversation. See you later." And then you go and talk to somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. That has to be your attitude to it. Because if you want to meet somebody, you have to create opportunities to meet them.
I love this. Yeah. You have to create opportunity. Yes.
Because opportunity, people expect it to come to them.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
No, it's that's again an expectation in there. Oh gosh, this is so powerful. And I love that. So you said earlier there's no tips, it comes from the experience, but I would like you to actually share one or two tips that could actually empower or encourage others to be confident, especially you share your personal story. This is so inspiring. You didn't have anything, you didn't have any experience, you just come from you, the bravery. And you didn't have fear to get the rejection, but all of a sudden, no expectation, boom, you got it. So please, if you could share one or two tips here as the last conversation we had is so amazing. Please, Brian. I'm so,
okay.
Yeah.
I think the most the most important thing is the best confidence comes from knowing who you are and having a vision. I had a vision, a very clear vision in my head. I wanted to be on the radio. And somewhere in that exchange between me and him, he picked up on that. Because if he thought it was just a non-runner, he wouldn't have told me to come in. There was something in the way I approached it that suggested to him that I was serious. Okay. So I believed in my vision enough, right? I wasn't bluffing. I did want to be on the radio. I really wanted it badly enough. And I was on the radio for about 2 years. And then I left it after that because I had done what I had wanted to do with it. Okay. I decided it wasn't a career I wanted to pursue. But the other thing I would say you should do is focus on what you want to happen, not on what you don't want to happen. A positively framed goal is essential. Okay. So when you go into do that talk, really picture in your head it going very, very well, the audience loving it, the audience engaging with you, lots of really good, interesting questions afterwards, and then people congratulating you, telling you that it was really interesting and there was great value in it and that you're a fantastic speaker. Really picture that stuff happening. Or when you go up to speak to the member of the opposite sex, picture it going well. Picture them being really receptive and being smiling and there being real flow between the two of you where you're joking and you're laughing and it's going really well. Really focus on what you want, because if you go in there focusing on what you don't want to happen, then you're more likely to make that happen because you'll come over as nervous and you'll come over as hesitant and you'll just not lean into it the same way that you could if you were thinking this is going to go great. I just know this is going to be good. So really, really focus on what do I want to happen here. And a really good way to do that is if let's say, well, let's take public speaking as an example, okay? Channel your hero. Who do you admire as a speaker? Like take, for example, Barack Obama, somebody that everybody knows. He's an exceptional speaker. If I want to speak, I would think, what way would Barack Obama approach this? How would he prepare? What would he want to say? Where would he put the emphasis into his talks? Where would he put his pauses? Where would he lean in? Where would he gestate and make body movements? How would he actually approach this? And then I channel that and think that when I'm up there, that's who I want to be like. And then you know what? You'll become that person. Or to pick whatever example works for you. Okay. Maybe you know somebody who's really good at approaching the opposite sex and you've watched them and you've thought, right, I'm going to use some of his methods. Not necessarily what he says, but the way they approach it. And these here, that I think that's powerful as well. And then there is other things, and we're starting to get into the tips and tricks bit of it here. You know, where I'm sure you've heard of power posing.
Yeah.
Right. And it's there is a TED talk about power posing, and it's partly scientifically backed up. But I do know that there's lots of occasions where they've tried to replicate it and it doesn't work. But a lot of people say that they get they get confidence from it, so it's worth doing. And that would be the reason you would do it. Power posing is standing up straight, putting your chest out, your shoulders back, and just adopting a very strong stance and position. If you can do that, you will come off as more confident because it is a physical stance that affects your physical or affects your emotional state, giving you more confidence. Okay. And I'm also a big advocate of power dressing. Dress in what you feel good in. Okay. So if you feel good in a suit, wear a suit. If you're better in jeans and trainers, then wear that. Okay. Whatever feels good will give you more confidence as well. But there's lots and tips and tricks like that out there online. So I don't want to fill your podcast with that sort of stuff. But
This
that's
been amazing tips already, Brian. Thank you very much. Yeah.
absolutely no problem.
Oh gosh. Yeah, so yes, it's powerful tips, so we can try it at home. And it's been good. This conversation with you. I'm gonna try to actually apply it at home, especially the dress thing. So yeah, thank you very much, Brian. And
Okay. Thanks very much, Julie. Thanks for having me. Okay.
yeah,
See you later.
see you.